Hello, Sportsman. It's Thursday night, February 3rd, the year 2000. We're going to do a little different thing on this edition of the Practical Sportsman Club. We're going to have a couple of wildlife quizzes. For example, check out this video. This is in the city of Lansing. You know what that was? Well, here, take another look at that crossing through a backyard. Well, we're going to have a quiz on that. We're going to take a look at this goose, play a little Name That Goose. It's wildlife quiz night here on the Practical Sportsman, so you stay tuned. Let's run that footage by for the quiz just one more time. You have 4 seconds. What is it? Now, that was in the city of Lansing, mind you. Now, if you probably said it was either a dog, like a German Shepherd, or a wolf, or a fox. Well, it isn't either of those. Here's a fox right here. Now, this is a red fox. You can see they're quite small, and that animal was quite a bit larger than this. What that animal was, right here, this is a mounted coyote or coyote. Take your choice. Actually, people pronounce it both ways, depending on how they use it in a sentence. Sometimes I talk about coyotes. Sometimes I mention, it's a coyote. But whatever you want to call it, articles in the newspapers have said things like coyote numbers continue to grow. This was an article in the Lansing State Journal by Babe Winkelman. And it talks about the coyote or coyote as really a survivor here. It's the most resilient and adaptable critter this side of the cockroach. Its numbers continue to increase despite the fact that an estimated 400,000 are killed every year by hunters, trappers, and government agencies. Because these critters are helpful in some ways, but not in others, and they can be dangerous. In fact, I mentioned that this coyote footage was in Lansing. Look right here, article, coyotes move into Westland. This is Westland, Michigan, the suburb of Detroit. Another article, Lincoln Park Police issue coyote warning. And both of these were in the month of May this past year. Here it is, a warning to small pet owners in this heavily urbanized suburb. Beware, a wild coyote caught recently by police appears to be well fed. So what do coyotes eat when they come into these urban areas? Well, according to this article, coyotes will eat anything from grasshoppers to garbage, from pet cats, that's right, pet cats, to watermelons, also small dogs, and in fact, just about anything. Well, the coyote that we're going to be talking about in this show is this footage that was taken in the city of Lansing, was taken actually by the Dent family, Chris and Stacy Dent. In fact, I interviewed them about their episode in December with the wild coyote. When did you first discover it?
It was about 3 weeks ago when we first discovered it in the backyard. He was just out wandering around the backyard, and I got some video and told my husband, and first we thought it was a dog because it was so big. So.
Now, you don't let the little one play back there?
No, she doesn't go outside yet.
No, he's come up too close to the house too many times to be letting any of the kids out.
Well, you've heard about coyotes and the problems that people have in yards and with little kids and things?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we've heard, especially in California, everybody says that they're snatching up kids and dogs and everything else in California. But so far, he hasn't been much of a problem to us.
So when does he come out?
Usually first thing in the morning is when we see him. Anywhere up to about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we don't see him after that.
And what does he do?
Just wanders around. Looks around, smells some things, just kind of wanders around more like a lost dog than anything.
And a lot of people think that it's a dog, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a couple people ask us, are you sure it's a coyote?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And when did you first know that it was a coyote?
First time I saw it.
And how did you know?
Just from pictures and things like this that I've seen on TV.
So how does this mount that we have on display here at the museum, this is a howling coyote, how does that compare in size and everything with
He's
yours?
bigger. He's probably about maybe that much taller. And I would dare say he's probably maybe this much longer. He almost looks like a small German Shepherd.
Yeah.
He's quite a bit bigger than this one.
I'd say he's about an average, probably between 60, maybe 70 pounds.
And what do you plan on doing with it?
We called Lansing Area Search and Rescue, who remove animals by live trapping, and they set a live trap because they believe that he's been trapped before. They think maybe somebody had him caged up as a pet.
Does this concern you, having a coyote around?
Just a little bit, just because of the fact we're not sure what he will do, in fact, if he does get hungry this winter. But for the most part, no, because he hasn't bothered us at all.
Now, where are you located? I mean, how close is this to suburbia?
We're at the corner of Saginaw and Waverly.
Saginaw and Waverly? There's a golf course there.
Yep. Hungry
And
Howie's.
lots of businesses.
Lots of businesses.
Saginaw and Waverly, you're blowing my mind on this one.
Yeah, it's quite right in the city.
You mean you're by the golf course then?
Yes.
Right across the street.
Yeah, we're just a couple houses north of Saginaw, right on Waverly Road.
Holy, there's a little shopping center there.
Yep, we're behind the shopping center. North of the shopping center.
That blows my mind. I mean, I live over in that neck of the woods too. How many people have seen this?
All
Everybody on
the
Waverly.
neighbors on our side of the road have seen him. St. Gerard's private school has seen him. The Michigan National Building, they've seen him as well and called and reported it.
Now, you made some other calls, didn't you? I mean, when you called me, you wanted to know if I could come and remove it.
Yeah,
Right.
We've called everybody because of the fact he hasn't done any harm and he acts like he's semi-domesticated. We've called everybody and nobody will come get him. They were gonna come over. One gentleman we called said they would come over and shoot him, but he didn't realize when we told him we were in the city that we were actually in the city. So when he got there, he realized all the houses and said he couldn't help us. DNR won't handle it. Animal control don't handle wild animals like that. And we called everybody.
I'll be
So,
darned.
I was told by a friend of mine about the Lansing Area Search and Rescue. They said they'd be more than happy to come out there and take care of him.
So they're going to give it a try with the live trap.
Yes.
She says if that don't work, she'll set up camp for a day or two with a tranquilizer gun until she can get close enough to hit him with a dart.
Well, that's going to be an interesting time for you.
Yes, it has been so far.
Why your backyard?
We have a very
We don't-
small dog.
Yeah.
And we have a feeling that may be why he keeps coming around.
To play with the dog?
We have a big dog, which she said it poses no threat to him. But the little one is more like lunch.
Yeah, he's only 10 pounds.
Ah.
But so far we don't know what the coyote's intentions are.
Well, they pretty much walk around and hunt for a living.
Pretty much all he's been doing.
And he walks, most of the time when he walks around, he looks like a stray dog that's lost. And he just wanders back and forth through all the neighbors' yards several hours at a time.
Nobody's reported any lost cats? They love cats.
No, not
Nobody's-
that we noticed.
Nobody's had any problems with him.
Maybe nobody in the dense neighborhood has had any problems with a wild coyote, but coyotes are predators. They do eat small critters, and they conceivably are a concern with toddlers or very young children. But mainly, they pounce on things like mice. Stacy Dent got a great video sequence of their backyard coyote hunting mice behind the dog pen. Now, mice are only one part of a coyote's diet, and anybody who tells you that that's all they eat is full of it. Coyotes eat whatever is convenient and close and available. During the spring, I'm sure they eat lots of baby pheasants and rabbits and whatever they can ambush and chase down. But coyotes are so predatory that they eat other predators, not just mice and rodents. Contrary to the cartoons and some nature movies, predators do not care if what they catch is dead or alive when they eat it. They're just happy when it stops thrashing. Then down the hatch it goes. Now, predators hunt and eat like this every single day. To a coyote, a mouse is like a candy bar. It's a tasty tidbit, but hardly fills the stomach. Now, I'm of the school of thought that prefers more game birds than predators. It's common knowledge that foxes and skunks and raccoons kill tons of game birds by eating their eggs and the babies, but coyotes are predatory. They eat these smaller, possibly more destructive predators too. At least, says Babe Winkelman in his recent article in the Lansing State Journal, coyotes are effective at keeping fox, skunk, and raccoon numbers in balance too. As coyote numbers went down, populations of these smaller predators exploded. And in recent years, these smaller predators like the fox, raccoons, and skunks have taken such a huge bite, literally, out of duck production that many hunters are now calling for massive predator control as a means of increasing the number of waterfowl and game birds. Now, I'm for more predator control, but I find it very hard to believe that more coyotes is better.
Nobody's had any problems with him. He just wanders around all day long.
Well, that's good that you were hot on the trigger there with your video camera.
Yes.
And now you have on tape a coyote in the city.
Yep.
They're getting bolder and bolder all the time. Well, hopefully, your little girl there won't have anything to worry about.
Oh, no. Hopefully he'll be in a new home in the next couple of days. So what happened with that coyote that was in the yard of the Dents? Well, actually, the same day they were here with that videotape, they went home and there were 2 coyotes in the yard. And they saw them for several days. Then John Schneider in the Lansing State Journal on the 15th of December wrote an article, Wildlife, Coyote that Visits Neighborhood Wears Out Local Welcome. Well, he told the Dent story about the coyotes in the neighborhood, and on this day that the newspaper came out, December 15th, the Dents saw that pair of coyotes 3 times during the day. By evening, that was it. They never saw the coyotes again. Now, we don't know whether the coyotes read this article, heard the scuttlebutt, knew about the tranquilizer gun, or we don't know if somebody rounded them up or if somebody poisoned them or what. It might not even been related to this article. But the end of the story was on December 15th, the last time the wild coyote was seen in the city of Lansing, at least for now. How often do you have a bird that comes in that you're not sure what it is?
Not very often, Fred. I've been doing taxidermy 20-some years, and it's seen pretty much at all, but I was under the belief that this was a cackler when I first looked at it, but once I thought it out and seen that white band on its neck, I knew it was different.
What is it?
Well, out of the 20-some different geese that are identifiable, I believe it's an Aleutian goose. It's a pretty rare bird. It was taken in the Upper Peninsula in October. It's an immature bird. It still hasn't reached its full plumage, but it's the only goose, the Canadian goose, with the white band around its neck. It kind of looks like a mallard.
Well, it's a lot smaller than a normal Canadian.
Yeah, it's even smaller than a lesser. It's a little bit bigger than a cackler would be, about the same size maybe. And most cacklers are a little bigger than mallards. After looking in the book at the pictures, I identified it as an Aleutian goose, which is a very rare bird. It was almost extinct at one time. And
well, the difference in the pictures in your books on geese are that none of them have a white band around their neck, where that black portion meets the gray feathers.
That's correct. I've never seen it on a goose of any kind before.
When you asked me what kind of goose that was, I didn't really look at that neck band on it.
No, it doesn't really stick out on it. When you look at the pictures, it's more visible because, like I said earlier, this is not a mature bird. It's a young bird that probably got lost to get all the way over here because they're originally from the California area.
Well, an Aleutian goose that was once almost extinct, doesn't that make it sort of like an endangered species?
Almost, but it's considered a black goose, like a Canadian goose would be, and that's part of your daily bag limit.
Huh. Interesting. This may be the only time that we have an Aleutian goose in here, huh?
Normally they're from California, so I don't even know what he was doing here.
So who gets this?
The customer who shot it. His name's Mark Stanke. He works for Johnson Sporting Goods down in Adrian. You might see this Aleutian goose, mounted by Tim Hayes, on display at Johnson Sporting Goods in Adrian from time to time, but chances are you will not see a small goose like this with a white neckband flying through Michigan. Aleutian geese are native to the western flyway. The Canada geese that are native to Michigan are twice the size. Their necks are noticeably longer,
and they don't have a white band of feathers around their necks. Because the Aleutian goose is abnormal to the Mississippi flyway, it makes an interesting addition to a Michigan hunter's collection of mounted waterfowl. Hey, we have had cold weather. It's made plenty of ice around the state. Up north, people are driving all over the place, trucks, cars, everything else. Muskogee Bay, foot of ice plus. Been getting quite a few perch, up to 13 inches, according to Greg at Harry's Place. And the walleye tournament this past weekend, an 8-pounder won, 5-pounder came in second. According to Tom Nancaro at Tom's Hunt and Fish in Marquette, they got plenty of ice and snow. Big Shag Lake doesn't have big bluegills, but lots of them. And Lake Independence up here, there was a 20-pound pike brought in, and they've been getting perch right off the landing there, 10 inchers. Up in the Keweenaw Bay is now frozen, according to Paul Schuster at Dick's Favorite Sports. They've been getting a mixed bag there, perch, salmon, whitefish. And as far as the walleye go here in Portage Lake, Michigan Tech had a fishing tournament this weekend, and I guess there was a pretty good turnout there, huh, Paul?
Had a real good show out. There's well over 100 people out there. Big fish I haven't heard of yet, but lots of nice fish. Lots of fish in the 8-pound category were taken. The big lures, they're still dew jiggers in gold and orange, and golden orange rapalas.
The dew jigger. That's made by the Swedish Pimple people. It's a spoon. In fact, this is the spoon right here. This is one of the larger ones. You just jig it up and down, maybe put a minnow on the end of that, but this is what's called a dew jigger. According to Don in Ontonagon, they're not using dew jiggers, they're using tip-ups mainly for the pike, getting a lot of flags, not many keeper legal-sized ones though. The perch are good but small, and they have 40 inches of snow in some spots. Down here in Gladstone, perch still strong in Little Bay de Noc. Walleye have slowed down though. They got 16 inches of ice, so people are driving. Just don't go too far south in the bay where those big pressure cracks are. Now let's get down here to the Grand Traverse Tackle Box. Long Lake, keeper walleyes on tip-ups, according to Mike Steffes. Skegamog Lake, real good perch, 10 and 11 inchers. Up here at Pat and Gary's Party Store, Hedger says Burt Lake has been producing quite a few walleye limits. They had a big weekend this past weekend, lots of people out on the ice. Mullet Lake has been producing perch and pike. He said they got some 10 and 15 pounders in at the store over the weekend. Up here at Bucks, of course, we got the report. Look at that ice, 18 inches of ice here in the Alpena area, Long Lake and Grand Lake. And according to Lori, how do we know your fishing reports are accurate?
Well, finally, I fished all week. I said, if I don't get any fish, I can't give a report. I had so many people with me. I fished Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Finally moved our shanty Sunday. Got into some nice walleye last night. We had a 20 and a 19, and then perch. Got perch too.
Now, Lori says she didn't keep any perch less than 10 inches, and hey, those are dandy perch. Now, if you want a lot of perch that are smaller down here, Van Etten Lake, according to Ross at Wellman's, the bigger ones are down here at Tawas Bay, and they're out on the ice. They're catching 9 to 12 inchers right there. Down here, if you want to fish for perch along the shore in Saginaw Bay, Andy from Frank's Great Outdoors says 6 to 10 feet of water all along the whole shoreline. Walleye are out into the deeper water, and they're getting some up to 8 pounds. The Shiver on the River tournament there in the Saginaw River, 13.6 pounds is the leader right now. That wraps up this weekend, but watch the pressure cracks and the west winds that open those up. Over here in Lexington, Roland, who's been doing a lot of rabbit hunting, well, the way he describes the fishing, you have enough ice there, Roland?
Oh yeah, we got good ice in the harbor there. There were a couple of fish caught, but nothing for as many guys that were up here. It's not worth mention. A few steelhead caught. That's all it was. Just a few. I mean, it was not a good weekend.
How do you like that description? It was not a good weekend. That's what I like about our guide report sources. They are honest. When the fishing is not there, we have those reports.
I mean, it was not a good weekend.
Well, now let's take a look down here at Lakeside. Captain Dan says, Metro Beach this past weekend, lots of action, parking lot full, lots of fishing. Off Selfridge, though, watch the ice. Over here at the Channel Stop, Denny says Coldwater Lake has picked up some more ice. We're up to 7 inches now. Walleyes on the west end, bluegills on the south end of Coldwater Lake. Up here in Ludington, Hamlin Lake is the one that's been producing a few walleye on slammers. And perch, one group got 35 keepers, according to Bill Acker. There is slush on the ice, at least there was earlier this week. And over here at Pilgrim's Village, of course, we're still talking about sorting for keeper perch here in Lake Cadillac. But according to Chip, the walleye is better than normal, and they're seeing a lot of them, huh, Chip?
A lot of guys that are spearing, and we're seeing more guys spearing pike this year. For whatever the reason, the interest is back up. They're seeing a lot of walleyes cruising. They're not real cooperative fish, but they're seeing the walleyes. So they are there. If you put the right baits in front of them at the right time, they can be caught. Crappies are still good, and they're being caught back in the cove still. And that's a real good mainstay. They're real dependable. Catches of 15 to limits, and those fish are on average 10 to 12 inches. You hear of an occasional 14 or 15 incher. So that's real good, and that's a good fishery to take advantage of as well. Guys are catching some bluegills again finally. There again, drill a lot of holes, and just use typical bluegill tactics. You really got to be a mover and use the light, small micro jigs with those kind of presentations. So overall, yeah, we're in real good shape. The ice is good, the fishing is good, and we're having a lot of fun.
Planning ahead for March and April, jot down the dates for our Marbles Hunting and Fishing Awards banquets. That's where we videotape the stories for the trophy books. The Lower Peninsula Hunting Awards dinner is on Saturday, March 4th. The Fishing Awards dinner is on Saturday, March 18th, both at the Eagles Hall in Lansing. On Saturday, April 8th, across the bridge on the shores of Little Bay de Noc, we're holding a combination hunting and fishing awards banquet at the Island Casino and Resort just west of Escanaba. Remember, you do not have to be an award winner to come to the banquet and listen to the stories. By the way, during the day on Saturday, April 8th, we'll be holding a first annual Practical Sportsman Sporting Clays tournament at Orchard Hill Sporting Clays in Bark River. Anybody who beats my score will be in a drawing for some special prizes. As for this weekend, taxidermist Tim Hayes will be at the museum tomorrow and Saturday, 10 to 5 tomorrow, 10 till 4 on Saturday. What's been happening with the Whitetails Forever Network and my Freedom of Information Act request? Lots. I'll have details next week. Well, that wraps up this edition of the Practical Sportsman. It was our wildlife quiz night, and we talked about the coyote here, which you can see the coloration and the size of it much bigger than a fox. Got another quiz coming up right here. What is this critter? It's sort of the same size as a fox, except it has the coloration of a coyote. Do you know what it is? Well, son of a gun, I'm out of time. We'll have to get back to that next week. I'll see you. Not just mice and rodents. Contrary to the cartoons and some nature movies, predators do not care if what they catch is dead or alive when they eat it. They're just happy when it stops thrashing. Then down the hatch it goes. Now, predators hunt and eat like this every single day. To a coyote, a mouse is like a candy bar. It's a tasty tidbit, but hardly fills the stomach. Now, I'm of the school of thought that prefers more game birds than predators. It's common knowledge that foxes and skunks and raccoons kill tons of game birds by eating their eggs and the babies, but coyotes are predatory. They eat these smaller, possibly more destructive predators too.